at least 28 dead from the 3 earthquakes that occurred. 7 of that, 28, was the result of the first earthquake last October 16. 28 dead and 470 injured caused by these earthquakes. 46,250 families, or 231,250 persons are affected. The number of damaged infrastructures are broken down as follows: 33,150 houses, 1,076 schools, 73 health facilities, 29 roads and bridges, and 154 other structures, such as places of worships, private or commercial establishment. The cost of damages will be determined after the conduct of the post-disaster needs assessment, which is scheduled starting in November 17. I will now go to the response actions and assistance provided by the NDRRMC. DSWD, as lead for food and non-food items, provided putak tents, laminated sacks, and other non-food items. Flights of C-130 and C-295, as well as ground and sea transportation were utilized for the transportation of relief goods, primarily food packs from the DSWD. And they also deployed quick response teams mobilized from outlying regions as well as from the central office of the DSWD. And these QRTs are now deployed to assist the local government units in the management of the evacuation centers. The DOH mobilized their medical resources such as hygiene kits, medicines, medical supplies, and other relief items for augmentation in the 2 regions affected, Region 11 and Region 12. And they also mobilized from other regions and from the central office of DOH, rapid health assessment teams, medical teams, mental health and psychosocial support teams, and nutrition teams. And these teams are now going around the evacuation centers for the health surveillance and medical attention of our affected families. They also deployed their engineers to conduct assessment of the damaged health facilities. DILG agencies such as Bureau of Fire and PNP also assisted in the response operations. The PNP attends to maintaining law and order as well as contributing units for search and rescue mission during the early phase of the response. Likewise, the Bureau of Fire has deployed teams to assist in search and rescue, and also deployed medical teams. But we are no longer in the search and rescue. We are not conducting search and rescue as of now. We are just sustaining the relief operations and managing the situation in the evacuation centers. We also heavily utilize the armed forces of the Philippines, starting in the early phases with the deployment of their units in Mindanao to assist in search and rescue, in evacuation, as well as in providing transportation of relief goods. And from DTI, since a state of calamity is declared by the local government units of Cotabato, is monitoring the prices of prime commodities in the area. The Department of Education deployed psychological first aid teams, and they are now conducting those operations in the schools, targeting the learners and their teachers. They are also now assessing the damage of their schools. The Department of Public Works conducted immediate repairs on damaged roads and bridges, and also assisted in the hauling of and transport of relief items and responders to the area. The Department of Transportation also assisted us in the transportation of logistics by giving priority to our transportation of relief goods through the roll-on and roll-off sea vessels bound for Mindanao. The Philippine Coast Guard was also utilized to provide land and sea transportation of relief items. The National Housing Authority, after the first earthquake last October 16, extended financial assistance to those families with damaged houses. For these latest earthquakes, they will now focus on providing permanent houses to families affected from areas declared by PBOX and MGB as no-build zone. We also received assistance from the private sectors. These are some of them. Manila Water and Maynilad provided water treatment units. They are now on the way to Mindanao on board a Philippine Sea vessel. The Chuchi Foundation and Makati Medical Foundation provided holding beds. The AirAsia and Philippine Airlines provide free transportation of relief items. Smart and Globe Telecom provided free services as well as some relief goods. PLDT provided free internet service and blankets in the area, and other assistance as shown. Now, for the way ahead of the NDRRMC, we are now planning for the sustainment of relief operations. We expect a number of families to be staying in the evacuation centers until a permanent relocation houses are provided. And at the same time, we also look towards transitioning or providing interventions for the early recovery of the people affected in the form of livelihood assistance training, cash for work program, and the completion of the other financial assistance like emergency shelter assistance, which will be provided by the SWD, and financial assistance for the casualties and dead to be provided by Office of Civil Defense. And for to identify the interventions for the full recovery of the areas affected, a post-disaster risk assessment is being scheduled in arrears. Also, we are now currently improving the conditions of makeshift evacuation centers by putting up additional toilet facilities, kitchens, as well as providing, improving the facilities. And our partner for this will be the Army Engineers of the AFP, and with Office of Civil Defense and local government units providing the needed construction materials. The works now are ongoing. And to improve the provision of water in the area, we will be providing pumps to some communities, hand pumps, And we are now discussing with the local government units to identify the number of funds that we will be procuring. So we now ask the cooperation of everyone. In the management of the evacuation centers, really, there should be collaboration among the LGUs, local chief executives, the DSW, the DOH, other agencies that can provide assistance, and Office of Civil Defense. So, as final statement, I would like to inform everyone that the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council and the national government would like to express that it is capable of handling the situations. We are doing everything we can to improve the conditions in the evacuation centers. And we are especially confident that the holistic approach in managing disasters will continue to ease the response and relief efforts for our fellow Mindanaoans. Let me also add, I forgot, that we presented a recommendation to the President last night during the Cabinet meeting. And the main recommendations there was the relocation of those communities identified as no-build zones, the sustainment of relief operations, the fund requirements for the sustainment, as well as fund requirements for the relocation of those families. So the different implementing agencies will now initiate the project proposals so that funds can be released the soonest. So that's all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm ready for your questions.
Sir, good morning po. Meron ba po bang data kung ilan pa yung missing as of this time?
Official data on missing is 2. And that is missing in a big landslide incident in Barangay Batu of Makilala. And there is no search and rescue being conducted on the advice of MGB because it poses dangers to the responders.
Na-mention mo kanina, sir, na mananatili muna lahat ng mga evacuation center. Meron na po ba tayong timeline as to when matatapos yung housing allocated para doon sa mga nasa evacuation centers?
Yung project proposal sinisimulan pa lang, but we hope to implement. We should see the implementation of the project the soonest. So I was in discussion with the General Manager of NSA this morning, June Escalada, and they now directed their regional office to conduct coordination with the local government units and is now formulating the project proposal for the release of funds.
Survey lote na po ba na nakita? Pwedeng pagtayuan?
That's part of the coordinations that will be conducted at the LGU level, and the mechanics will be determined in that coordination meeting.
Sir, question. Yung recommendation niyo po kay President Duterte, na-identify ba natin which areas yung mga hindi na pababalikin, yung mga danger zone, di ba sabi niyo po?
Merong recommendation ang PBOX and MGB.
May list na po ba?
Merong list.
How many families or residents kaya?
Yung number of families is kasalukuyang na-identify talaga. And NHA has a way of determining that using satellite imagery.
Foreign aids, may mga nagbigay na po ba ng tulong from other countries? Or
There was mention of by DILG, but not directly coordinated with OCD.
but will also CDB open to accept foreign aid? Kasi
Uh,
parang may na-mention si Secretary.
We usually binabet namin yan with the DFA. So, any foreign aid facilitated by DFA, that means vetted na yan, all the way to the President, then we accept and process the utilization.
Sir, roughly, ano po yung mga danger zones? Ano po yung mga danger zones sa area?
Nandyan ba? Meron? Wala. We will just provide you the list after this press briefing.
How much, sir, yung hiningi natin fund? Dun sa, di ba, nag-ask na po kayo din yung recommendation to the President, and then nag-ask na rin po tayo ng fund. Pero na bang na-determine na?
Tentative amount identified is in the amount of more or less 4 billion, but but that already includes some of the rehabilitation or reconstruction projects identified, and not all of the amount of 4 billion is needed immediately.
So yung 4 billion, it entails lahat na yun, sir?
Kasama na yung mga initially identified reconstruction projects by DPWH. Pero yung exact amount will be determined in the PDA na. Yung mga initially identified lang ang nandyan. And as I've said, hindi naman kinakailangan as of now yung total amount of 4 billion. Like for example, for the sustainment of relief operations, the SWD just needs some amount for as replenishment of their quick response fund to procure food packs and provide for the cash for work and emergency shelter assistance.
Yung ano, sir, di ba nagpunta kayo doon, na-address na yung issue ng mga iba, mga humihingi ng tulong sa mga highway?
Yes, and we are announcing to our people that food distribution will be in the evacuation centers. Likewise, the local chief executives can also distribute foods in their barangay halls. Foods, relief goods are stocked in the provincial warehouse near the incident command post. And so kung wala silang makuhang foods doon sa evacuation center and barangay halls, then they can go to the provincial incident command post, but not along the highway because it's not safe for them.
Yung report ko, sir, na merong grupo ng mga supposedly mga militants, na-validate ba na sila yung nag-project na nagkakaroon ng problema sa food distribution?
Wala pang umaabot sa amin, but we are focusing on the relief operations as of now.
And then, sir, sa ngayon, masasabi natin na lahat ng mga supposed victims ay naaabot na ng ating relief operations dun sa area.
Yes. Yung mga remote areas ay sinisikapan naman talaga ng ating mga mayors. So kahapon, may mga report yung mga mayors, may mga concerns silang pinabot sa governor, and they are being addressed. After the meeting with Secretary Lorenzana, we suggested a follow-up meeting at the incident command post to address those concerns.
So, dun sa sa issue ng pabahay, baka naman mabigyan na naman ng false hope yung ibang mga residente. Ano ba ang initial thinking ng NHA? Kumbaga kasi baka lahat ng mga victims ba pwedeng mag-avail nung itatayo na area for the victims, or merong vetting process din na gagawin?
Of course, may vetting process yan, always, And ang qualified yan ay yung nakatira doon sa areas na recommended by PBOLS and MGB as safe, as not safe, or as no-build zones. Ito yung nasa upland communities na may mga landslide, may tension cracks, and in danger of landslides. So yun lang. And yung approach is kung i-relocate ba sila sa isang area or scattered for as long as the areas are safe, ay depende na yan sa NHA to identify. Nakita naman nila yung lessons na in previous years may mga resettlement areas na hindi rin pinuntahan ng mga recipients dahil napakalayo from their livelihood. So, i-consider yan.
So, safe to say, sir, na sa ngayon ito nangyari sa Mindanao, priority na mabigyan is yung mga nasa presidente ng mga no-build
Yes,
zone.
yes.
But kung ilan, wala pa ho.
Wala pa. Hindi pa determined yung exact number.
Sure, ano po yung timeline ng NHK? Kasi habang tumatagal, lalong mahihirapan yung mga tao. Do they have a timeline as to when they can actually relocate these people?
May procurement process kasi yan eh. So, yung timeline, hindi ko masabi ngayon, but we should start immediately.
So kung ensure na hindi po babalik naman yung mga tao doon sa magtayuan ulit ng mga bahay nila doon sa danger zone. Pero bang ano na babantayan? Kasi minsan dahil naiinip na magtatayo na lang ulit kung saan sila dapat.
Well, nasa power na yan ng local chief executives to exercise, ano? And kinakailangan din talaga nating i-convince yung ating mga kababayan na iwasan nila yung lugar na yun. Kung kinakailangan naman na kasi nandun yung kanilang farms eh. So, nandun yung kanilang livelihood. So, arrangements should be done so that they can continue farming the area but not to live there.
Sir, as of now, may nakamonitor pa ba tayo mga nangihingi ng limos sa highway?
Wala pang umaabot sa amin.
Ano, sir, yung information nyo before na sinasamantala ng mga NPA, na-verify na ba, sir? Na yung group of people...
Well, biniverify yun, but then again, as I've said, we are now focusing on the relief operations and we leave it to the PNP to ensure law and order.
So, ano mga inalaw na ba na families na bumalik dun sa mga safe areas na nagpunta sa evacuation?
Well, hindi naman sila pina-evacuate. They evacuated because it's not safe for them to stay inside their houses because of the aftershocks.
So walang nag-stay sa evacuation center?
May mga evacuation centers na occupied by people outside of those identified areas na no-build zone. So, nasa evacuation center sila, yung iba. Yung iba naman, nasa gilid ng mga bahay-bahay. So, kapag safe nang bumalik sa mga bahay nila to do some repairs, then they can go back. Wala namang restriction sa kanila.
Sir, yung ano naman, yung earthquake kanina sa Quezon, may update pa kayo?
May update? Wala pa. Wala namang report of damage.
So, sir, kanina kasi parang sinasabi na no fear of ano naman, sinasabi ni sir na may, I mean, no report of damage, pero aftershocks or parang are expected.
Yes, meron namang advisory na ganyan kasi base doon sa assessment ng PBOX, posibleng magkaroon ng aftershocks. But I think we can monitor kung meron nga bang aftershocks na sa website ng PBOX.
So far, everything under.
Wala pang report.
Sir, yung dalawa pong missing, kailan po planong ituloy yung retrieval operation?
Well, nasa ano na yon, sa incident management team na yon to determine, not at the national level. And we have to consider yung safety ng ating responders.
Retrieval na lang yun, sir. No?
Retrieval kung may gagawin man. I-retrieve natin, tapos ililibing natin ulit. But that will be decided at the local government unit level. Kasi landslide yun eh. Hindi natin alam kung nasaan. Huhukayin natin. Most likely, wala sa taas yun. Hindi naman yung tinulak pataas eh. Tinulak yung pababa. huhukayin natin sa baba, that means magiging unstable yung ground, lalong bababa. Are we willing to put the lives of our responders at risk to that? So, yan ang i-consider ng local government unit.
Do you have any more questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Sir, ano ba? Sir, yung kasi iba-ibang regions yan. Paano, sir, yung is there somebody overseeing the operation in the different regions or through the regional directors sila nag?
So, at yung NDRRMC, including the RDRRMC, ay ano ito resource provider to the local government units. In the case na hindi naman paralyzed yung local government units. Katulad nito, hindi naman paralyzed sila. They are still functioning. So we provide them with augmentation of resources, logistics as well as responders. So nakikita naman sa presentation, di ba? May deployment yung DOH, DSWD na mga hindi lang goods kundi personnel. So they augmented the capacity of the local government units, but managing the response at the provincial level is the provincial government of Cotabato. At the municipal level is the mayor. But we are there to assist them.
Any more questions?
Okay, so
Mamaya pagkatapos ito, sa kanya na we would like to thank our friends from the media for joining us today in this press briefing. We will be informing you if there will be next press briefing arrangements by the week. So please watch out for those information. Thank you very much.
thank you.